All right, folks, welcome back into the WNBA 365 network, your 24/7 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe. We are back, folks, for episode number 2 of WNBA One-on-One, the show to get to know us better and also where we come to share great stories involving the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball world. Join tonight, folks, for this second edition of the show by Kristul Thomas up in Los Angeles, and of course, Cal McClure, who you just saw for the past 50 minutes here from Studio 171 in San Diego. Kristul, good evening. Welcome to the program. How's it going?
Hello, hello. I am good. I am good. Had a crazy 2 days, but I am here.
So again, folks, we would love interaction with you folks on Twitter. Again, please hit us up at WNBA365, at Calimac3, or at Pup1010 with the hashtag W1on1. And we'll get to tweets as we did during the last show, of course, in the course of this one. Now, Kristul, obviously, it's been kind of a whirlwind for you, obviously the past 2 days, but also the summer was also a pretty big whirlwind as well, as we kind of brought up again briefly last show here on the note, but also you brought up, though, as well in a pretty emotional story you wrote on the website for us on WNBA365.wix.com/WNBA365. And obviously, Kristul, I know that the entire team, but more so me and Tanisha Stewart, know more about what occurred over the summer. And of course, it was probably a summer to forget for you, probably personally, more so than what you'll talk about. But again, just kind of, refresh our memory again of what really happened, though, for you over this summer.
Um, I don't even know where to actually begin. Um, to refresh, for those of you who don't know, my mom pretty much got sick, had a brain surgery that, pretty much left her out of commission. Around probably like March of earlier this year, things got a little rough. You know, Power went out for a few months, couldn't get that paid, and then um, that means we had to eat out all the time, which is wasting money. No electricity, no refrigerator, no cooking, no nothing like that. Um, and then I believe in June, yes, June, we ended up getting pretty much an eviction notice, and that's without giving away too much so far because I'm about to tell the story. That's pretty much where the summer was. That's pretty much with what you can probably imagine what happened from there, but that began it all.
Yeah, Kristul, I kind of found myself in the same predicament as you did, and I really don't bring it up a lot because it was a really troubling time for me as well, and I won't do that here either because this is your game to play here. But so obviously, Kristul, so again, you bring up everything that goes on personally, and I know that it's probably tough for someone, regardless of age, though, Kristul, to just mentally block that stuff out, and I know it's a real big burden, of course, for anyone of any age to go through so much turmoil, ups and downs, roller coaster of emotion. But Kristul, you tried your best though to kind of get away from what was going on in your personal life. And obviously, what we'll get to now, of course, is what you wrote about, though, was something being bigger than, I guess, bigger than a game, bigger than anything that may have happened. Obviously, history being made, but again, Kristul, there was more to the picture than just what you saw on the court with one player. So we'll go ahead and let you go now because this is your time to shine now. So again, take us back to what was, both a historic night at Staples Center, but also personally for you, a rough time in your life though as well. It's all you.
Well, like Colin said, well, kind of like what Colin said, um, it wasn't an eventful summer. It was one that I would both like to forget and not at the same time because it is a learning experience. You kind of learn from it, and you don't want you want to forget it because it was probably one of the worst years of my young life, but it was also a learning experience. You want to learn from it, and you don't remember. You don't want to. It's kind of like when you lose a championship. They always say you want to remember the feeling because you don't want to ever be in that predicament, in that situation again. Um, and as for me, like I was saying, we were homeless up until September, so you can kind of uh, imagine how that was. That was only like what 2-3 months ago. So we were pretty much um, in and out of motels and hotels and stuff. Luckily, we were blessed enough to get motels and hotels. I mean, you have a lot of people who, can't live anywhere. Um, so that's kind of just a rundown. So I could get to the story. I just wanted to let you guys know where it was. I didn't want to just jump right into the story. So as far as that day goes, I had went to the game prior. Like I believe, like Callan had stated in his story when he just moved my popcorn all out the seat, all savage style and everything. So I had went to the game prior, and I actually remember really, 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 really wanting to see this game. Not so much because it was Chris Tolliver's first game back, but because there was a Q&A session, which is a big part of the story. Um, so I remember looking at the tickets, and I also remember there being, a Nike Q&A session, which involved Chrissy Tolliver, Neko Gumake, and Elena Beard, and I was like, I mean, why not? I like those players, and I mean they're really great players. That'd be a pretty cool, thing to go see. And plus, I've always wanted to meet all three of those players anyway. Like that was, they're on my top players to meet list if I had one. So I remember that day. Um, I remember being kind of excited that day, but then kind of not. Like I said, my situation was really bad, so it was kind of hard to really get a grasp and to to really feel good about what was going on. So I remember waking up that day pretty much just having a normal day. I believe it was a 12 o'clock game, if I'm not mistaken. So if anybody, I know not everybody is from California or from LA. So if you guys don't know, traffic in LA, especially in the summertime, is the worst. It's you really can't move anywhere. So I woke up early. I woke up early so I could get, to park and get to Staples Center and just enjoy myself. So that day, like, I don't know, it was I don't know if it was a woman's intuition thing or if it was just a thing, but I felt really good about that day. There was something about that day that just made me feel better than all the other days, which was hard to do at that point because I still wasn't fully focused on, just that day alone. So, I get up, I get ready, I drive to Staples or whatever, and the sun was all shining and bright, and I was like, okay, this is a good day. I mean, every day is a good day anyway, but especially during that time, if the sun was shining, I always felt like that was a better day because I really do think, especially when I'm not gonna say I was depressed, but especially when you're down and you're not feeling open to certain things, I feel like the sun really does make a difference in how you react that day. So I was just thankful that the sun was out. Um, it was really hot that day too, which my car ain't had no air conditioner, so I was kind of boiling in the inside, so I had to roll all the windows down. But it was really hot that day, and I was just like, this is gonna be a semi decent day. So um, I remember pulling up at Staples, and I remember getting my seat, which was a pretty amazing seat, if you must ask. It was a pretty awesome seat. So I just remember watching them warm up, and I always kind of like to watch the players warm up because it's a pretty cool experience. I don't know if anyone out there has ever been to a WNBA game, whether it's Sparks or whatever fan of a team you are, but it's kind of awesome to see them get focused. It's like a different thing. It's kind of you know, it's kind of weird, but it's kind of like a quiet thing. You get to see what they do to prepare themselves mentally and physically. So I kind of I kind of appreciated that. I don't know if that's weird to say, but I don't know if that's weird to shut up, Shorty. It was hot though. Shorty just sent a tweet. Sorry about that, but um, it was kind of a weird thing to say. You can see these players in their element, and it was nice and calming. And especially for me, I'm a big basketball fan, so me being able to kind of mentally step away from what was going on and to see them do something that I would want to do one day was kind of cool. So I just remember, this being a big game. Chrissy Tolliver was coming back. Chrissy Tolliver had been gone for about, I believe it was 8 games, and I think I was more excited because if anybody knows me, Don Staley and Chrissy Tolliver are like at the top for me. So it was for me. I was excited. I was like, man, yeah, this is Kristul Thomas' first game back. You know, um, this is gonna be awesome. But at the same time, I kind of still wasn't. I still wasn't in that right mind. So on the outside, I was excited, but on the inside, it was more so just me kind of, am I supposed to be here right now? I have a lot going on. What am I going to do after this? Where am I going to go after this? That's kind of what it was. It was more so I felt as if I was not supposed to be where I was at because there was something bigger going on, and um, that part kind of that part just kind of it kind of threw me for a loop because it's when you're at a game, especially when you're about to witness history, um, and you're not really into it, it kind of you kind of feel ungrateful for a minute. But at the same time, you know that there is um, there's more to it, and it's bigger. Like I said, it's bigger than a game, and just watching them perform, if you will, because that's pretty much what it is. That they're entertained and just watching them perform. You would think that me watching, my favorite team and my favorite player break a record, you would think that I would kind of be in a good place, but I wasn't. Like it was kind of hard. I don't know if anybody's read the story, but it was kind of hard to follow the game when there was a lot going on in my mind. Like I was watching the game and I was paying attention to everything that was going on, but there was a few times in the game where I didn't care what was going on. I was more so in my mind, in my own head, and it's when you're watching 43 points being scored, it was like this. It was like wow, Kristy Tarver is doing something amazing out there, but at the same time, I can't really enjoy it because these players, I don't know the situation, but I know these players they get to go home and celebrate while I get to go to a hotel room and pretty much just think about where I was going to go from there because I really didn't have a place to go at that time. So it was kind of like a roller coaster being at that game because you didn't want to get too excited because if you got excited, it was just gonna last probably like an hour or two. But as soon as the game was over, it was gonna just be me going back to where I had to go back to, which was no place at all. And um, I believe at that point in the game, once I realized she was gonna score the 43, it was kind of like a quick wind of happiness, but at the same time, it was like I don't want to say I don't care because that's an amazing thing to do, 43 points, but it was like, oh, 43 points, but then it was like, oh, whatever, I'm not really gonna just 43 points, but this isn't gonna be memorable for me. And um it was kind of just like it was kind of just like, okay, what do I do now? 43 points, no big deal. I was at the game, I witnessed it when played an amazing game against Tulsa for that to be her first game back. It was kind of like a statement game for the way I felt. And I guess the statement was, at the time, this is well, it was a statement game for me after I received the jacket, which is what I'm gonna get to next. I'm just trying to, break it down. But at that point, um, it was kind of just as if like I, I did kind of feel ungrateful a little bit because it's not every day that you get to witness something like that. And then the fact that I witnessed it and other people didn't, they only saw it from TV. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. Like a lot of people had asked me after, like, oh, you went to the game and you got this, you got that. And I couldn't tell them what was going on with me because I don't like everybody knowing a certain situation if they don't know what's going on. So I kind of just had to, fake. I kind of had to be like, oh yeah, it was cool, this, that, and the other. But deep down inside at that time, I could care less. And like I said, it wasn't me pretty much being a jerk about it. It was just I didn't really have like a stable place to go and couldn't really enjoy it. Um, did you have a question like you had a?
No, Crystal. I mean, you're laying out everything pretty much as it's been written. I mean, history, historic games or historic feats don't come around every day. And of course, being there for you, at least being there in that game that LA won by 4 points at 80-76, and to see Christie have the amazing game. But obviously, like you said, though, the game really wasn't the whole anecdote of the night, of course, with you kind of going in between, the game and then, what's going to happen, half an hour or an hour after the game ends. But okay, so I mean, you go through the game and stuff, you see what's going on. I guess talk about your emotions, or just talk about how your demeanor, I guess, as you go to this Q&A with these three really talented athletes now, as you kind of go to this point.
My demeanor after the game, as in like after she scored, or um well, after the game, I mean, it was after the game, I kind of did get excited a little bit. I guess it became more real that I was about to meet three players, especially Kristul Thomas, who I've been following forever, if you guys know me. It was it was it was kind of the same. Like, I was happy, but then I was kind of, I was kind of to the point where I was like, I'm gonna ask a few questions. They're gonna answer a few questions, and then it is what it is, and I'm gonna be able to, I'm gonna have to go home, and, well, not home. I'm gonna have to go to, at the time it was extended stay. I'm gonna go to extended stay and figure out, what's the next move, what are we doing next, and everything was just going so quick. Like I said, my mom was sick, and we had no place to go, and so it was just me thinking. At the time, I forgot to throw this in. I was having car problems at the time too. So that's like, car problems, and not having a place to stay, and hotel fees. The cost adds up. So I I'm waiting at the end of the game, and I just hear loud claps, kind of like I said in the story. I just hear claps, and I'm looking down. I'm kind of on my phone or whatever, my business. I look down, and then I look up, and you just see NECA, AB, and KT walk out, and at that time I did started getting excited. I started beaming. I was like, oh, like, they're really out here, and that was about like 50 people possibly, if that. Like, it wasn't really that many people. Um, So I'm like, oh, okay, I may actually get to ask a question out here. There's not that many people, this could be cool. They sit down, you know. Bobby, who is the MC, I don't know if anybody knows who Bobby is. Bobby, who's the MC, he starts it off. He gets a crack at, he's asking questions, like, he asks his questions first or whatever. Then they get into fan questions. So I kid you not, I was expecting to see a little bit more hands go up in the air, but there wasn't. So I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of surprised. I'm like, these women are here for us. They took their time out for us. Why not why not take advantage of it? And especially since I was at a bad place at that time, I was like, I'm not leaving here without asking a question. Like, that was my thing. I was like, I'm not leaving here without asking a question. Whether it's what favorite Kool-Aid you like, whether it's what's your favorite color, I'm asking something. And the first thing, and if y'all know me, I'm silly. I like to tell jokes. So the first thing that came out of my mouth was a joke. The second thing that came out, this is a question to all of them, by the way. The second thing that came out was me congratulating Kristul Tolliver on her 43-piece nugget. As I said in the story, I really said that. And then the last thing before my question was me complimenting Kristul Tolliver's jacket. And at the time, I didn't think nothing. I really liked the jacket. I was like, I like your jacket. I think it's dope. Yada, yada, yada. I didn't think I was going to get nothing from it. Wasn't trying to get anything from it. Wasn't trying to, uh, wasn't trying to be that kind of person that just wanted something, because I was just strictly there for questions and answers. She, took the compliment as humbly as she could, too. Took the compliment. It looked like she kind of, you guys can see my facial expression now, so I can show you. But when I mentioned the 43 points, she kind of gave me like a weird side eye thing, but it wasn't like a rude side eye. It was kind of like an uncomfortable, like, why did you do that, side eye? Because that's how humble she was. She didn't really care about the points. You could see it in her face. Like when I said it, she was kind of like, "Ugh, why'd you mention that?" But I mean, it happened. 43 points. It's that's things that legends do. So as I mentioned before, I said I liked her jacket, and she was real cool about it and was like, "Do you want it?" And me being me, I'm like, if you don't give it to me, I mean, I'm not gonna ask for it. I'm not here for that. And then like I knew it got real when she like started taking her jacket off, and she was like after the Q&A. And at that point, I didn't care about any of the questions I had just asked. I was like, yo, like I'm really about to get her jacket. This is awesome. This is cool. And I can't believe it. And the funny thing is, I can hear people behind me kind of like, oh, Kristul Thomas is not going to give it to her. Why would she do that? She's not going to give her the jacket. She's not going to give her the jacket. And I started laughing out loud. Like in my mind, I was like, oh, if they don't think she's gonna give me the jacket. And honestly, at that point, I wasn't sure either, because a lot of times people forget, they'll say something and they're busy, they're players, they got stuff on their mind. So I was like, if I got it, that would be cool. If not, no biggie. I got to ask a question to somebody who I've been trying to meet in, forever. Q&A is over, right? It got really real when she gets up and she's looking for me. And then I'm like I said, in my mind, I'm kind of like, you know how you see those teenage movies and they're like, oh my God, he just said he loves you. Da, da, da. That's how I felt on the inside, when I could jump in a circle pretty much. And, it was, it became, yeah, shorty, I got the jacket. I got the jacket. No, it became real. It was like she got up and she physically walked over to me because I had got up at that point too, because where I was sitting at, I was kind of in the front, so excuse me, so you could see me. She got up, I got up, I walked towards her, she walked towards me, and the coolest thing wasn't even getting the jacket. The coolest thing is what she said to me while I received the jacket, which was, I always keep my promises. And at the time, for me to be in that situation, that was the greatest thing anyone had ever told me at that point.
No, Crystal, absolutely. And as we go on now to the next part of the excuse me, of the story, but Crystal, I mean, you just brought up though about Kristy Tolliver keeping her promises. That's what I kind of brought up briefly towards the end of my piece again about my personal story as well. Was these players, as we know, they get ridiculed and they always get thrown to the curb and under the bus because it's the WNBA, but they do the little things, the little intangibles right that separates them from being regular, ordinary athletes to pretty much superstar athletes almost, because they do the things that, Tony Gwynn, kind of expected from his teammates and from his college kids was, hey, go sign those autographs, go talk to those fans, go take photos with those fans, because, that was their way of saying that, we're not regular athletes. But of course, Crystal, Kristy keeps her promise. And then, and I think like kind of after that, like one moment of euphoria, you can kind of say things kind of went kind of a bit downhill after that. You can proceed on, of course, because obviously, it gets a little bit rough from this point forward.
Yeah. After I got the jacket, um, she said, I always keep my promises. Um, we took a selfie. Um, and then like it is what it was. What it was. It was over pretty much, and it just like that. How I said earlier, when it's like a feeling of happiness, just like that, a feeling of sadness came, because I was like, I got this jacket, which the jacket still doesn't fit, by the way, for the people who know about that. She's really small and skinny. There's like no muscle or bones, or I mean, well, there's bones, but there's like no meat on her body whatsoever. But that's a different story. So yeah, I got the jacket, and after I got the jacket, I was happy. Like I even sent out a few Snapchats. I don't know if anybody on here has a Snapchat, but I sent out a few Snapchats, and I was like, oh my God, I got the jacket. This is cool. It doesn't fit, but I'm happy. But after that, it's like, okay, I got this jacket, but I got nowhere to hang this jacket. So where's this jacket gonna go? I can't bring it to a house because I don't have a house to go to. I can't hang it up in my own closet because I don't have a closet to hang stuff up with. I can't put this anywhere. So it kind of felt like it was pointless. It kind of felt like well, it kind of felt like that situation was undeserving to me and that someone else should have got it because I was like, where am I gonna put it? I have no place to put it. I have no closet. I have no, nowhere. Pretty much, don't have anything of my own. So for the longest time, you know, well, before I get to the next point, like I said in the story, I actually did go home that day, and I did go to the hotel shower, and I did cry that day because it's like something amazing happens, but you don't at the time I'm kind of like, okay, this could have went to some other fan who had a place to go, who probably was more deserving of it. And at the time I felt as if I didn't deserve it. And I was like, you have luckily there was no kids there because I probably would have honestly I probably would have given it to a kid if a kid was there because I felt that way. But you it's kind of one of those things where you kind of just get lost. You're kind of like, you're kind of like, is this supposed to happen? Because at that point, I didn't think good things were supposed to happen because it was one bad after the next. It was kind of just like a ripple effect. It was one after one after one. So when one good thing happened, you get confused. You're like, is this supposed to be mine or was this a mistake? And then you kind of think like, I didn't make a mistake coming here, but at the same time, did I? Because you still have to go back to, in this case, the extended stay, with a new piece of something cool that you can't even, you know, have nothing to show for it. And at that time, like I said, not a lot of people knew what was going on because I was pretty much hiding everything. Um, it, it, it was, it got pretty deep. So, like I said, I went home, went to the bathroom, well, went to the extended stay, went to the bathroom, turned that shower on, and just and just cried for like an hour straight. And it was pretty deep. I mean, it was kind of, if I had to say words, it was probably at that moment where I realized how rough it was. Even though I knew that before, but that was really the moment where I realized it was the roughest.
Crystal, what did it mean to you though that during this time where things were just so bleak and so blurred in regards to, where are you going to be the next night, kind of feeling like you were kind of actually being a homeless person of, where am I going to be the next day? But how much did it mean to you though to know that you did have people though backing and supporting you though during this rough stretch in your life?
I mean, it was cool. It felt good because I think everybody, no matter if it's something major like that or if it's something small, I think everybody needs to realize that there are people who are always there for you and it will get better. I think that was one of the things that it taught me. I mean, obviously, it got a little better, um, but I think that's the biggest thing. It will get better and it can get better as long as you stay positive and as long as you have people there. It could be one person, it could be a dog, it could be a cat, it could be a goldfish, it could be a monkey. As long as it's somebody that cares for you, there's always something to keep looking forward to. And I think I honestly think that day the jacket kind of had it made me look forward to something. As weird as that sounds, I mean, um it made me look forward to what was ahead to come, and good things did come from that. As you guys know, something came from that the next night. Something great came from that the next night. A friendship. I'm not gonna go into that, but something came from that the next night. So it kind of just lets you know that if you move forward, good things will happen. It's cliche, and especially during a hard time, it's very cliche. But you kind of just got to stay positive. I mean, I think one of the big things that helped me is that I used to always smile and nobody knew that I was going through anything, because I don't like to burden people with issues that's not theirs. But I feel as if that's what made me get through it.
Kristul, anything else in regards to, obviously the situation, of course, has been one deal, of course, with, the things that, of course, you've brought up, of course, between just, the roller coaster emotion you've been through, and, when we got together, though, the two games when the Sparks played Phoenix in New York, obviously, you were still kind of in that zone, though, but obviously, did it kind of mean more to you, though, to kind of, have someone there by your side in person? Because I know that we'll get to this a bit, coming shortly. But, what did it mean to you, though, to have someone, either myself or someone there with you, though, at these games to kind of, I guess kind of, make things a bit better, I guess, is what I can kind of say going forward.
I would say it made it easier, because it's like when you're at the game with someone, even if you're at the game by yourself, but it made it easier to drift away. Like, it made me just watch the game. I think that game was probably the most I've actually watched the game, both mentally and physically. And what I mean by mentally is like I actually was into the game instead of just worrying, because a lot of the games I was watching, but I kind of wasn't there. Like, I could tell you what was going on, but I was nowhere near it. Like, there was times where I had no idea who was even on the court, because I wasn't really that deep into the game. But I think it made it easier to knowing that there was somebody there. So it's like, excuse me. I think it made it easier knowing that there was somebody there. So it's kind of like I didn't have to suffer alone, because the people who I went to the game with obviously knew the situation, but it was kind of like you didn't have to suffer alone. We're gonna help you go through this by trying to take your mind off of it.
And Kristul, and even when I couldn't be there, when anyone that you talked to daily couldn't be there, of course, we'd have Google Hangouts off air, just to, catch up and stuff. And I know that, you would pretty much walk us on your phone to the beach or to somewhere else, but that was kind of, I guess that was kind of like your way, though, to kind of, not only get your mind up, though, but also, kind of get that support system for you, I guess, between me and Tanisha and CN and Eric and anyone else that may have joined us as well. So, I guess even when we couldn't be there, though, what does it still mean to you, though, again, that, you still had people by your side even when we couldn't be there with you personally? And, of course, we were, I think you and I were on Google Hangout, I think, every night, I think, during the time of this whole thing. And, we had toured Santa Monica, we had toured Venice, we had gone, to pretty much we've gone to pretty much every local 7-Eleven you can think of pretty much at about 10 o'clock at night. But again, though, what does it mean to you, though, again, that there were people, still here backing you, even though that we couldn't be there with you 24/7, at your hotel room or whatnot?
Oh, I appreciate it. And like Callan did say, I probably did go to every 7-Eleven I could find. I mean, everywhere. And I appreciate it, though. Those walks to Venice and Santa Monica, they helped a lot. I think that was half of the reason why I was able to stay sane. I think those Sparks games they helped me stay sane, even though sometimes I wasn't paying attention. I trust me, I do know after I received that jacket, I start paying attention a lot more. I mean, it helped. It helped in that aspect. It helped a lot, but it helped. I mean, I feel like as long as you can mentally escape, whether it's writing or talking to somebody, or as I did, walk on the beach, I feel like as long as you have something to mentally escape from, it will help. I mean, it the only thing that I used to hate, though, is like after I would mentally escape, I would still go back to nowhere technically, because I'd still be going back to these hotels and motels. But it it did let me kind of see what fun looked like, because it's probably bad that I thought like this at the time, but I was always thinking, all these people look so happy, they have a home to go to, they're gonna be able to go home and do something simple as just get on the computer, and I didn't have that luxury. But at the same time, I shouldn't have thought that way, because I don't know what else people are going through. At the same time, people didn't know what I was going through. But I guess that's, when you're down, you just think like that. You really don't mean anything by it. And at the time, I didn't mean anything by it, but I do truly appreciate everybody. There's too many people to name, but I do appreciate everybody who helped me get through that.
And Crystal, there was a point in time I think too when we were kind of doing our little virtual walks on the beach was I think there was a point in time when you had actually gone to either Santa Monica or Venice and you happened to spot Chris Oliver and Carrie Moore, who are both, as we know, they've kind of become your soulmates, kind of because they were the people that more so got you through the whole thing more so than anyone else did. And I know that you had kind of seen them eating dinner at one of the local restaurants, but obviously, Crystal, you've watched this athlete. I mean, you see her play every time you go to the Staples Center, and then of course you get the jacket right off her back, at Staples Center, and then you just happen to bump into them again, on the streets, and you've seen them post game as well. So, I guess, what was kind of going through your mind when you kind of saw Christy, even off the floor though, kind of being in your same spot, and then, what does it kind of mean to you though, again, that that she gave you the jacket, but now that you got to see her as well, even after all this also occurred as well.
Well, for one, because Eric and CM and CB do this, dab on them. I hit it for you guys. Y'all can leave me alone now. I dab for y'all. Second, okay, this was really weird. So, I was just walking one day. I was just bored. I just was like, I'm gonna go to the beach. I need to get some stuff off my mind. And I used to take beach walks. I would literally go to the beach at like 12 o'clock and won't leave till around this time now. That's how long I would stay at the beach. Just clear my mind. Yes, the pricing would cost a lot, but honestly, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I'm walking, and I was walking back from Venice. And this was kind of between the borderline of where Venice and Santa Monica hits. I don't remember the exact restaurant. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't say it because I don't want y'all in their space and stuff. But, I'm just walking and, mind my business. And I have a quick eye. So I kind of look to my left, and I keep walking as I'm doing this. I didn't stop or anything. I looked to my left, and I was like, oh, and this is literally, I was calm because I really don't get excited when I meet people. I was kind of like, oh, that's Chrissy Tolliver, and I just kept going. Literally, I kept going. Literally, just like I didn't stop, but I was like, oh, that's Chrissy Tolliver. That's cool. Kept going, and I, I mean, if y'all, by the way, this is a little fun fact. If y'all would have saw the way that Chrissy Tolliver was looking at that menu, when I tell you that girl was looking at that menu like them crab legs was about to run off the page or something. Exactly, Kylan. She was looking at that menu like Brian Agler told her if she didn't order the correct food, she was gonna get cut. Like that's how she was looking at that menu. I'll never forget that. I kind of giggled to myself, which was another happy moment for me because I really didn't laugh a lot unless I was on like Google Hangout. But it was funny. Like it was something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, pretty, again, small world, as you can kind of say, again, bumping into the person that you see, of course, for what, of course, this athlete in person did for you. But Crystal, again, we've talked about the support that you got from everyone, between myself and the rest of the team and everyone else. I mean, I'm really not sure what else there really is to kind of go forward on, other than the fact that this situation, I guess, really kind of helped you kind of pull yourself out of the mud in a really difficult personal state to be, going forward. And obviously, again, Chris, I guess I can just kind of just asking because I know that we had revisited again when we sat together at the Liberty game for the last like 2 minutes of the game again, and I guess I know we talked about this a bit earlier, but again, I guess what did that kind of mean to you again to kind of have someone, again to have someone, like myself being there again. I'm not going to brag and say I'm above the world or anything, but again, the note to have someone there by your side again that knew what was going on and again was being there and just doing their job as a friend again. Your thoughts. What do you think and why?
Well, here's another fun fact. You know how I said, and I remember the exact date. You know how I said September was pretty much my last official month being homeless. CN was actually on the phone. Shout out to CN. CN was on the phone with me when I read that email. And I remember I was at Carl's Jr. and I think I was washing clothes. I was on the phone with CN and I opened something told me to open my email. And I was I was like, CN, I got the apartment. And I remember like I was just celebrating. I felt like I had just won a national championship or something. Like I remember that day. And it was like I said, it was pretty awesome that all that happened and then this happened. So it felt like it finally started to feel as if everything that I deserve was coming to me. Because even though it was only from June to September, that felt like forever. You know, just being in that situation. Sometimes I think back and look back on it, and I'm like, wow, that was this year. Because it feels like it didn't happen this year. And it seemed like that part of the year went by, you know, so slow, just the slowest part. And then after all that good stuff happened, it started, you know, just pretty much just going by fast, and it started to finally feel like everything that was good was starting to happen that I deserved. So then after a while I started not, you know, I started being happy about the jacket. I was happy about the jacket then, but it was more so like, oh man, you know, if only they knew, if only she knew what she just did, and if only they knew how much they helped me get by and get through this year. um because no, like I said, nobody knew, and I'm really appreciative for that. Like I still appreciate that. That's one of the probably the best gestures that I've gotten this year. But the best thing obviously was the apartment. But that's probably one of the you know the best thing. And I'm looking at my jacket right now, like my closet's in front of me. I mean, I can't wear it anymore, well, sadly, you know. Like I said, she's really skinny, but you know, it's crazy that I can actually look at it in front of me and say, yeah, like that happened. How many people really get a jacket off of their favorite player's back? And it was pretty cool, you know. It was, in the words of somebody, it was pretty cool. It was cool. It was really cool, you know. Um, it was it was probably one of the best feelings knowing that I finally had a place to put this jacket, which still smells good, by the way. I don't know what she had on, but it smells really nice. I gotta figure out what that was because it smells awesome, and that may sound kind of creepy. I didn't mean to be creepy, but it smelled good. And also, in other words, of somebody else, that jacket is the gym. The jacket's the gym. I don't remember that. um but it was like I said, it was awesome. It was a pretty cool experience, and it all, now it's all settled in and all set in, and you know, it just, now it feels like it's right. It feels really right now. Before it kind of felt weird, kind of felt wrong, but now it feels amazing that I managed to get through all that and still had a smile on my face.
Crystal, of course, we relaunched or you launched the official website for the the network a few back when we got back on the air as a once we rebranded, and of course you wrote the first personal story. We know that Shorty had written a story about the explanation of the network and her thoughts about the shock moving to Dallas, and of course you wrote the first personal, and I followed you with the second personal story. Crystal, you know, can you kind of talk about your emotions, I guess, you know, kind of having to go back and revisit that dark chapter, and, you know, again, to be able to write it out and kind of explain your personal state during that rough time?
Yes. At that time, it was still really hard to tell anybody. Now it's a little bit easier to express and you know, tell people what was going on. But at the time, even writing it, it was emotional, and it was easier at the time to write it than to actually explain. Like if you'd have asked me at that time to do what I'm doing now, there's no way I would have got through it without breaking down. But you know, now I'm at a place where I can comfortably explain it, comfortably tell people, even people if I'm pretty sure, because the story, what it did, because it did what it did, I'm pretty sure I already know I'm gonna have people asking me this at Staples. You know, if I go to Staples, you know, next season, and I'm kind of to the point where now I can mentally, I'm mentally prepared to tell that story without, you know, being so emotional over it. Because if you would have asked me to do this you know, some months ago, I probably would have did it, but it would have been a lot of breaks in the interview. I can assure you that. So it was emotional, but I mean, it's a part of my life that I won't forget. Like I said, I don't want to forget it. I want to forget what happened, but I don't want to forget the way I felt because I think that's just gonna make me a better human, make me a better adult, and teach me lessons along the way. And I think it worked. Um, it it pretty much taught me that you can get at anything if you prepare yourself mentally, and that's what I did. And I kind of, it's a lot easier to talk about now.
Crystal, can you kind of explain the support? I know we talked about the in-person support or the technology support from us on via Google Hangout, via Twitter, whatever it may be. But when you happened to post the story, you had sent the link to everyone, either fan groups, either on just across social media. Can you kind of, I guess, uh, talk about your reaction to the fan base from LA and also the other fans from across the league that also took the time to read your story at all, and your, I guess, just your reaction general to the general public's response to your story.
Well, first of all, I appreciate it because a lot of people don't like to read anymore, and I know the story wasn't short. I appreciate it. And my second thing is, I didn't think, in all honesty, that many people would react the way they did to it. I kind of thought it'd be a story where they just look at it and was like, okay, whatever. But I actually got a lot of people commenting, and it actually made me feel good that people read my story and really were concerned. And then it felt weird at the same time because I've never been recognized for a story like that before. And it was like I said, it was. I appreciate people for reading it, but it was kind of weird. And I already know I'm gonna get questions. I got questions that day, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get more questions. And I mean, like I said, I'm prepared to answer them. It's like it's all out now. So, but it felt, at one hand, it felt really good to finally let people know what was going on because nobody knew what was going on, and it was a very low point in my life. And then at the next, it felt even cooler because, like I said, I didn't think many people were going to read it. I didn't think people were going to gravitate towards it like that, and I appreciate that they did, and I appreciate that they liked it.
Crystal, now that you've gotten settled in the new place, things are kind of back to normal. And I know that you probably said you probably think about it every now and then, though. But can you kind of tell us or update us, I guess, where have you been and what are you doing now, post the summer months?
Um, well, I be up in the gym working on my sexiness. Um, Working on jump shots and handles and stuff. That's what I'll be doing. No, I do be in the gym though. I'm in the gym more so I can relieve stress more. Plan on, like I said, I plan on going back to school in February. Um, Looking for jobs and stuff. It's going decent. I've been able to have a little bit more fun, a little bit um less stressed out. Still taking care of my mom. My mom's still recovering, so there's still a few stresses there, but not as much now as there was. But it's a lot better. I mean, I could actually enjoy the WNBA playoffs instead of worrying about what was going to happen. Um, I could enjoy the little perks that I got when I went to like season ticket holder parties. I could enjoy that because I had a place to go home because of it. Like it actually, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. I mean, like I said, I still think about it because that's motivation for me not ever wanting to be in that situation. I hope no one ever gets in that situation because it's not fun. It's not cool. You don't know where you're gonna go. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's one of the worst things ever. But like I said, I'm glad I got through it with the help of all of you, even you people watching, all the little Twitter jokes that we've had. You guys helped me get through it too, so you guys are appreciated.
Crystal, again, I presented the idea to you for this exact show, again, as a way to kind of extend the bridge a little bit from the stories that we've written and stuff. And of course, I got a chance to kind of add further into my story about meeting Candace Wiggins and knowing her for 11 years, whatnot, and of course, this has given you a chance to kind of further explain yourself as well going forward. And obviously, I think this show, from what I've seen analytically on the live views, we've had between 4 to 7 people watching this one. We had about 5 watching the last one. So obviously, this has been a pretty good idea, Kristul. And again, I guess your final thoughts, though, about your personal story before we do wrap up for the night.
I would just say that this summer had taught me perseverance, to never give up, because there was times where I just felt like giving up. I'm not gonna lie, but I was like, no, I can't do that for the betterment of me getting out the situation. If I would have given up, who knows where I'd be at right now? Probably not talking to you right now, or talking to anybody on this network. I probably would have been in my car right now, living in the car, sadly. But it taught me how to never give up, taught me perseverance. This may sound so cliche, but it taught me that tough times don't last, but tough people do. That whole teenage movie cliche that you hear, but it's actually real. It also taught me that, I probably should have told somebody sooner, but at the same time, I'm not really upset about that, because I don't like people poking and prodding into, what's my business. And I feel like people who I trusted knew my business, and there was only a few people. So it also taught me that you do have to have fun. Even in tough times, you got to do stuff for yourself, because I'm not going to lie, I was thinking about not going to that game, and I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm thankful I did. Who knows, that jacket would have been on somebody named like Amber or something right now, and Amber would have got the jacket, and Amber would have, not saying Amber wouldn't appreciate it, but I don't know nobody named Amber. If your name is Amber, I'm not disrespecting you. It's just the first name that I could have said Bonquisha, but I mean, realistically, am I gonna run into any Bonquishas? Probably not. I don't know, maybe. I meet weird people. But to get back on the subject, it just taught me you gotta have fun more, and no matter what life throws at you, you gotta be able to roll with the punches. And I think I, handled those punches. I handled those punches better than Holly Holm in the second round of the Ronda Rousey fight. So I'm still here, I'm still standing. Like I said, I appreciate everyone who read the story, everyone who helped me. Um, that's why I'm here, having fun, telling jokes, being crazy. I appreciate everyone from the Sparks to Christy to Carrie to everybody watching this, to Shorty, even though Shorty be getting on my nerves, to Eric, to Reagan, to CN, to my best friend, everybody, to Jack Nick, everybody who helped me over the summer become a better me. I appreciate everyone, and without y'all, I wouldn't be here. And it's just, it makes sense. It just, everybody has a great part to do with it.
And with that, folks, we hope that you've enjoyed our first 2 editions of WNBA One-on-One. We'll hopefully have more of these coming up in the future with Eric, Reagan, and Tanisha, hopefully sometime soon. With it, though, folks, we are now officially on our holiday break. We'll see you folks next time back here on January 4th when we come back to get you all set for the 2016 WNBA season, while also updating you with the rest of overseas play and also with the rest of the college scoreboards. We lead your way up to March Madness. With that, though, folks, until January 4th of next year, again, please have a safe night and a great and safe holiday season. And good night. This has been the WNBA 365 Network. We are with WNBA and covering the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe. For Kristul Thomas, our featured guest for episode 2 of WNBA One-on-One up in Los Angeles, Cal McClure joining you here from Studio 171 in San Diego. See you folks next month and next year, and happy holidays, and see you then. Till then, bye-bye.